This is a question and answer session on the fiscal year 2026 Justice for Families program. There will not be a PowerPoint presentation. OVW staff will be here online to answer any questions you may have about as potential applicants to the Justice for Families Notice of Funding Opportunity that is currently posted. You are welcome to turn your cameras off. We welcome you to use the chat, the Q&A feature in the Zoom. And if you would like to verbally ask your question, please raise your hand and staff will unmute you. OVW staff.
Yes, I can hear the Spanish interpreter. Do you have a question? Yeah, so we will have you interpret the entire time, and I'm going to be recording the Spanish channel.
With me on the call, before Melissa, I see there's your hand raised. I just want to introduce the OVW Justice for Families team. I am Maureen or Mo Monagle. I am one of the grants management specialists in the Justice for Families unit. With me, I'm joined by Hannah Puffer, another grants management specialist. We have Elena Roberts, who's the team lead for our unit. We have Julie Aldrich, who is our associate director, and we are also joined by our management analyst, Kayla Owens, who is here to support our team. So before we start, I just want to make sure everyone has the link to the FY26 Justice for Families NOFO that's open. And Melissa, I'm going to unmute you and you can ask our first question.
For offering this session. It's really, I think, going to be helpful. So I jotted down, I don't know, 4 or 5 questions. I could just, if you'd like, I could just ask one at a time so that other people get a chance. Just let me know, what's best. My first question is for the the attachments, will that be uploaded into the Just Grant system? Because I didn't see a way to do it when I was submitting the SF424.
Yes, when you are applying, you're submitting the application in the Just Grant system, and you'll see you'll have the ability to upload certifications and all of the other required attachments like the budget narrative, program narrative, etc.
Okay, great. Thank you. Should I go on, or does somebody else have questions? That I don't want to take it over here.
At the moment, you are the only hand that's raised, so feel free to ask your question.
Sure, thank you. So what documentation or like as far as the certifications is required for a nonprofit site offering supervised visitation?
So in the NOFO and in the, make sure you're looking at the links that are provided in the NOFO, there are required certifications, and we provided a chart, a certifications chart. And if you give me 1 minute, I can provide the link in the chat for everybody.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think I did look at that. I was just kind of curious, as it looked like it was more of a self-certification rather than like something required as far as like from the state or the county.
But you can use the templates, certifications that are provided.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Um, uh, I have another question. Can supervised visitation monitor training be included in the budget? Like for example, we're looking at expanding our program and offering another training and onboarding some new visitation monitors. And I was curious if the training fees could be something we would put in the budget.
Training of staff to provide supervised visitation is allowable in the budget.
Okay.
And you want to keep that in mind, especially if you are a new supervised visitation center under the Justice for Families program and under the OVW guideline for supervised visitation, but you can incorporate training and technical assistance in your budget.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. We have another hand that's raised. Do you have one more question?
Yes, one more, but I'm happy to wait and give other people a chance.
How about, yeah.
This is Monique Harris in Nevada. How large of an organization, or does the current budget matter if you have experience doing supervised visits for applying?
I'm sorry, who's that? Who's
Monique,
asking this?
Helen Kaminsky.
Hi, Helen. Sorry. Melissa, can you do me a favor and lower your hand, your raised hand? Okay. And Helen, can you repeat your question, please? I'm sorry.
Does the budget of the nonprofit matter in applying for it? We were one of the ones who lost funding as well. So I want to know, does current budget play a part in the ability to apply for the grant?
What you apply for under the OVW funding, your budget must be reasonable to the services and activities you're proposing under this grant.
No, I mean, can you be a new organization or a small organization and apply? Or do you have to have an established long-term budget?
I think you'll be answering some questions in the pre-risk assessment that you might be able to give some of your organizational capacity.
Okay.
But you can also, as you review the NOFO, you can ask for specific guidance by submitting that question, and we can get into our JFF email.
Okay. And also, I have 2 staff members that's trying to log on. Is it possible that they get let in?
So we were letting everybody from the waiting room. Can someone else look at that for a minute?
I do not see anyone currently waiting in the waiting room.
Okay.
Okay, I'll have them try it again. Thank you.
Okay, and Heather, I'm going to unmute you and have you ask your question.
Hi, thank you. I'm from Pennsylvania, and my question is, if your organization has submitted an application in the past but was not awarded the grant, would we still be considered a first-time applicant and eligible to request the funding for 48 months?
If you have never received funding before for this program, you would be considered a new program.
Thank you.
And Cheryl Cromwell, I'm going to unmute you for your question.
Thank you. Would a model of visitation that takes place at a dependency court qualify, or must the visits take place in a community setting?
So in the NOFO and in our resources, you'll find the links to the guiding principles for supervised visitation center. This is not for visitation in a community setting. So you want to review the guiding principles to be able to respond to the this NOFO, notice of funding opportunity.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Can you lower your hand, Cheryl? And Aaron House, I'm going to unmute you for your question.
Thanks. I had put a few questions in the question and answer. The first one is for purpose area 4, civil legal advocacy. I think this is the same language that was there when we applied before, but it talks about providing civil legal assistance and advocacy services in which the victim proceeds pro se, which would be the victim representing themselves. But I know that in the past you have allowed actual funding to pay a legal services provider to provide attorney legal representation. Is that still true in this NOFO?
Correct.
Okay, so that can still be used. Okay, and then could you give some examples in priority area 2? It talks about projects dedicated to direct victim services and or criminal justice responses, including investigation, arrest, prosecution, enforcement of protective orders. Could you give some examples of what OVW is potentially thinking of or looking for there? And it's on page 7. I'm sure you know this probably like the back of your hand, but page 7 of the NOFO.
I don't know this NOFO by the back of my hand, so I appreciate the page number.
I believe in you. Yeah, it's number 2 on page 7. Under agency
So
funding.
this is where for the priority areas, you still want to make sure that any activities proposed align with the statutory purpose of this program. So I cannot give you any examples of what OVW would be looking for under that priority area, but keep in mind, JFF under our statutory purpose area, this is not a program that does investigation or prosecution efforts. So the activities still must align with the statutory purpose of the program, which are all outlined on page 6 under program description.
Okay, so it sounds like it's a little outside the statutory purpose. And so the only idea we had come up with was maybe training for police on responding to protective order violations, but then that also involves investigation. So would that actually be prohibited? We're just trying to, I feel like this is new in this NOFO, different than in past ones.
Can I jump in here, Mo? Hi, everyone. So I would say, the priorities are in there, but focus on the statutory purposes. And an application that successfully and thoroughly focuses on the statutory purposes is usually a far more successful application of what your community needs than rather trying to mold something and see if it fits into a priority area. So our best recommendation to folks is don't try to put a square peg into a circle hole. Focus on those statutory purposes. And if it happens to seem like it fits into a priority, you can state that in your application, but don't try to force the issue with the priorities.
Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you.
And the other thing I may add is as the solicitation or as our NOFO says, refer to the FY25 NOFO for the out of scope activities that are provided under the program last year. They're clearly outlined.
Thank you.
Thanks, Erin. Desiree, I'm going to unmute you. Desiree Boyd-Fram.
Yes, thank you. I have a question about being a new program. So we currently hold the grant in one county, and we are trying to partner with the court in a separate county that is nearby us to be able to provide supervised visitation and safe exchanges there. They would be the holder of the grant in that county, and we would be a subcontractor. But because we already hold the grant and do these services in a separate county, separate area, would it be considered a new program since that program does not exist in that area and we are just trying to start it in that area? Or because we already hold a grant, we're considered an existing program when that can't be a new program?
So the new primary applicant would be a different agency, not your own.
Correct.
So they would be a new applicant under this NOFO, providing services in a different county. So it's a new county.
Yes. So it's
As
considered a new
as
program, even though we're
described,
the ones doing it.
that would be considered new.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. It's a little bit confusing because the areas are in the same kind of general area, but they're completely different. So, thank you.
You're welcome. And can you lower your hand, Desiree? I appreciate the question. Heather, I'm going to unmute you for your question.
Yes, thank you so much. I had a question under the program description. Does immigration legal services for removal defense representation fall under the court-based programs?
Under the civil
Under the
legal assistance?
No, under number 3, court-based programs.
Court-based programs, court-related programs to address court. And what was your?
Oh, I'm wondering if providing direct immigration removal defense representation, is that considered something under court-based programs, that activity?
As described, that would not fall under that purpose and under their statute.
Okay, so it would not fall under, correct? And that would be more.
It would not fall under.
Okay, and it would be more of number 4, civil legal assistance. Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Mary, I'm going to unmute Mary Weaver.
Thank you. Wondering, pardon me, about the distinction between a 36-month program and a 48-month program, as described actually on the front page, one of the early pages of the NOFO. And I'm sure you know this, but 48 months described as a new supervised visitation projects, which would include our application if funded. What is the distinction as to what you're envisioning for those 12 months for the new programs? What would we be doing?
So if you have never received OVW funding for supervised visitation, we allow for a new program up to 12 months for training, technical assistance under the OVW guiding principles for supervised visitation. So we allow new supervised visitation centers that additional month for planning before services can begin.
If you could hear it, I would be applauding you in a big way right now for that thought. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. And Kim, I'm going to unmute you, Kim Torres.
Hi, this is Nancy Hubbard with Kim Torres at YWCA in Central Virginia. We have several OVW grants that have opened recently that are applicable to our organization. Does it hurt our chances with OVW if we apply for more than one grant in different areas of the organization?
We would not discourage anyone from applying for OVW funding for programs that are applicable to the services you're wanting to provide or expand on.
Very good, thank you. One further question, if I may ask. We are actually a sub-grantee in one unrelated area of the organization. And does that impact our chances on funding for visitation and family justice for families?
No, again, we would not discourage anyone from applying for the funds. There should be an opportunity for the applicant to be able to provide and disclose other OVW funding that may be related to the services or to the organization.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And Kim, I'm going to ask you to lower your hand so we can keep track. Nicole, I'm going to unmute you for your question.
Yeah, hi, I'm Nicole Borchert. I'm with Mary's Place Saving Grace in Bend, Oregon. We are a current grantee, and under JFF, we are currently financing our supervised visitation and safe exchanges and a courthouse-based advocate. For this next application, we are considering adding, we already have a post-separation advocate who works with the survivors who utilize our supervised visitations. Right now, that person is funded from other funding sources, but we are wondering if such an advocate who would not be sitting in the courthouse, but they would be working only with the survivors of our supervised supervised visitation center, if such an advocate would be allowable under either program goal 1, supervised visitations and safe exchanges, or 3, potentially 3B.
Not seeing how this is presented in writing in your application, we want to make sure the services clearly align with the statutory purpose of the grant. So I'm not, I would not be able to tell you which statutory purpose area that would apply to right now without seeing that written out in more detail. And I'll let my other OVW colleagues chime in if they have a better understanding of the question. Nicole, do you have another question? Or do you have additional questions?
No, I don't have a different. We are just puzzled if such an advocate could be allowable under this grant. Yeah, that's my only question.
If you would like to put that question to our JFF inbox, we'll be able to kind of explore that question a little further.
Okay, how do I do that?
Our email is, I should have it handy. OVW.jff at usdoj.gov. And for anyone on the call too, our contact information for any questions that are not answered for you today, that is on the NOFO.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And Nicole, can you lower your hand? I'm unmuting Nicole Purcell. Do you have a question?
Yes, from day one in Providence, Rhode Island. So I'm trying to sort of understand the nuances, the differences in the legal assistance and advocacy that is contained within this NOFO and the LAV, so the Legal Assistance for Victims NOFO that's out right now. We're trying to kind of figure out where what we're thinking of would best fit. So I'm hoping you can help me to discern what your intention is with the legal advocacy in this versus the legal assistance mentioned in the LAB.
If you are developing a program under the Justice for Family solicitation, please read the statutory purpose, which is primarily going to focus on supervised visitation and a court-based program. If you are developing a program that is mostly civil legal services, you may want to consider the Legal Assistance for Victims program or the LAV program, which is also posted.
Perfect. That helps me to fully understand. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And there's also LAV, Legal Assistance for Victims unit is hosting a Q&A tomorrow, although they may be at capacity as well, but you can also look at their NOFO if your programs are proposing to do legal services.
Great. Thank you so much again.
You're welcome, Nicole. Jody, I'm going to unmute you, Jody Curl.
Thank you. I have a quick question with regards to, so we have community-based advocates in the courtroom for domestic violence, sexual assault, and basically, does that count under the court-based programs or is it under the civil legal assistance?
It can qualify under the court-based program. And depending on how you propose it can also qualify under civil legal services.
Okay. So yeah, they're legal advocates and we are based in 3 different courtrooms in the Denver metro area. And so if we have relationships, court agreements with all of those courts, then we could apply for these funds.
Correct. If you're doing community-based initiatives within the court system, which would include your victims assistance program, that could be, that would fall under the Purpose 3.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. If you don't have any other questions, thanks, Jude. And now I'm gonna Annabelle, and if you can pronounce your name for us, that would be helpful. I'm sorry if I mispronounced.
No, you did great. Iniabel Santiago. Good afternoon. I'm calling from the Division on Child Support Services in the state of Georgia. This actually will be the first time we apply for, if we go moving forward with this NOFO with OVW. We have grants with ACF and OCSE. And one of our grants is access and visitation with ACF, and we already have the vendors or recipients that work with supervised visitation and safe exchange. So we have the base there. However, that program doesn't allow us to provide services to domestic violence victims, and this will be the opposite. That will be an open door for us to provide services to DV victims. So I have a couple of questions here. You have on the NOFO says, if we have any type of commitment with the court, do I need an MOU or a letter of commitment or a letter of support?
Yes, and in the NOFO, it does talk about the memorandum of understanding that's required with your court partner. If your court is not able to sign an MOU, which some courts may not, and we recognize that, they may submit a letter of commitment in its place.
So a letter of commitment would be sufficient.
That may be submitted in lieu of an MOU.
Okay.
And that information is included on our NOFO.
The other question is, we are a 4D agency, so that means we collect when they apply for services for child support, we collect a fee, a $25 fee. If they don't receive any type of services like TANF or Medicaid, that fee will be waived. Is that any impediment for us because we had to collect a fee? I read somewhere about the certification eligibility about fees.
To ensure accessibility of OVW funded services, grantees providing supervised visitation and safe exchange are not allowed to charge fees with OVW funded services. So you may have families that qualify for funding under this or services under a Justice for Families grant that are not charged.
So if they apply for services for child support, they want to establish a court order for child support, but they are domestic violence victims and they want to do supervised visitation and exchange later on. Is that an impediment for us?
Do not charge a fee, is that?
We have to charge a fee unless they are receiving TANF or Medicaid.
Can I jump in here?
Yeah, please.
Okay. All right. So what I'm hearing is that the fee necessarily wouldn't, like, if they paid the fee, right? You're a 4G agency, it's child support, primarily. If they came in and then wanted supervised visitation, that if funded, you were providing under Justice for Families from OVW, there you cannot collect a fee for those supervised visits, right? So that is a separate, if the fee that you're collecting to access other services in your organization, that is separate. But for the supervised visitation or safe exchange, whatever you would be offering for victims of domestic violence, that particular service cannot have a fee directly associated with those visits. Does that make more sense?
Yes. So let me summarize. What we're charging is the fee that we're charging for open a child support case is something that we had to do because the Fed is requirement for us. However, if they want later on, after we establish the court order, they want the supervised visitation and safe exchange that we're doing right now, but we are not allowed to provide it to domestic violence. It's completely free because ACF, that grant, is covering those expenses. So we can use your grant, OVW, to pay the service providers for supervised visitation on cases where domestic violence is involved.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
One more question. Because this is the first time we apply with OVW, that will be for us, what you call first-time applicant?
Correct, if you meet the definition of the first-time applicant. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I have a question. I don't know if it's raise your hand or what. I'm Judge Erica Green, Family Court in East Baton Rouge. We were trying to understand. I think I have my answer, but I want to know. We will be a first-time applicant, and we are a court. We have already secured our partners, and we want to start a visitation location locally, a center. I'm still applying in the same capacity like the nonprofits would, even though we're at court. We would just do the memorandums would be different. Is that what you're saying?
If you are the court applicant, as the primary applicant,
yes, ma'am,
you are then required to partner with a domestic violence organization.
Have that.
Right. So read the required partnerships that is outlined in the NOVO.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. And Avery, I see your hand raised. I'm going to unmute you.
Hi, I'm with Journey Center for Safety and Healing in Cleveland, Ohio. We provide supervised visitation and safe exchange for domestic violence victims. We were previously funded through Justice for Families. Our grant ran between 2022 and September 30th, 2024. and we reapplied in 2025. We were declined. Because of that, we were really having to rebuild our program, from the ground up. We've had to dial back services and everything. So I'm wondering if since we were declined, can we apply as a new applicant for the 48 months?
And I'm sorry, Avery, the timing of your lapse in funding with JFF or from OVW, can you repeat that?
Our previous grant ran from 2022 to 2024. It ended on September 30th of 2024.
Then you would be coming into this application process as a new applicant.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. And Avery, can you lower your hand? Thank you. And Mark, I'm going to unmute Mark Dandino, and I'm so sorry if I mispronounced your last name.
Oh, that was great, Mark Dandino, and I am with World Relief in California. We have 4 offices throughout the state. On page 6, number 3, under purposes, number 3, court-based programs. Are programs required to provide all of the elements there, A through F, or some of them, or one of them would suffice? How does that work?
All of the above, Mark. You may, under that purpose, you may apply for all of the subsections within the court-based programs purpose, or one,
Or two.
Or two. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. And I'm going to ask you to lower your hand when you get a chance. Thanks. Helen, I'm going to unmute you.
Hi, my question is, if we partner with a court, are we allowed, or would we be able to allow therapeutic supervised visits as an add-on to supervised visits?
So under the OVW guidelines for supervised visitation, which again, the link is available on our website, the Justice for Families program is not supervised or therapeutic supervised visitation.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going to ask Helen, if you don't have any other questions, can you lower your hand?
Yes.
Thank you. And Cheryl Cromwell, I'm going to unmute you.
Thank you. I'm still seeking clarification on page 6 under the program description. The first one is supervised visitation and safe exchange. And then number 3 is court-based programs. So under number 1, can those visits take place at an agency or community-based setting, or must all of these supervised visits and exchanges take place in a court setting?
Those
Can I jump
settings.
in now?
Oh, yeah.
We answered this one in the chat as well. So I just wanted to make sure that we're, the answers are in the chat as well. I think there maybe is a confusion of where people are referring to as community-based, and that's why we answered, I think, a few times in the chat. Community-based, so we answered in the chat as in a supervised visitation and safe exchange program needs to be in a set building, a set location, the same location, right? So you're providing services at one location for multiple families. That's where your program is, not at a park, a mall, moving locations. So when we say community, the difference between a nonprofit, a court, a unit of local government, all of those can have the supervised visitation program. It just needs to be set in one location. So I think maybe the term community-based can be interpreted a few different ways. So really think it doesn't matter the entity providing the supervised visitation, but it does need to be in one location, if that makes sense.
Yes, thank you. That was very helpful. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Okay.
Heather, I'm going to unmute you. Heather McNett.
Thank you. So I'm just going to piggyback off of that question. So we're going to apply for this grant, and we initially we're going to include, we have 2 rural counties that we cover, and we have a building in both of those counties. We have a building in New Milford, we have a building in Towanda. And so I guess my question would be, can I include both of those locations in the grant?
You may include 2 locations in the one grant. Not knowing the communities that you just talked about. If it involves 2 different courts, 2 different districts, or 2 different court partners, be sure to have both partners covered in the areas you want to provide services to.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I'm going to drop in the chat the link to the OVW guiding principles that are referenced in the NOFO, so everyone has those handy when we're talking about the guiding principles in some of our responses.
Hello. I cannot seem to find like the raise your hand icon, but I have a question.
Okay, can you say your name? Because I'm not sure who's speaking at the moment.
Yes, hello. My name is Maggie from Texas Rio Grande Legal Aid. Uh, I guess it's like 3 questions. So we are legal aid in Texas, and from another answer I got from here, they asked a similar question. I just want to confirm that if instead of partnering with a court, we partner with the Board of Judges, which from that other answer would be an authorized representative of the courts, that's okay?
So make sure you're looking at the NOFO for the eligibility and the definition of a court, and then who that court deems as an authorized rep for the signature.
Okay. We'll go back and make sure. And then another question is I believe I understood that we do not have to focus on pro se. We can do direct representation. Is that correct?
Are you talking for civil legal assistance?
Yes.
Yes, as outlined in the NOFO.
Okay.
Sorry, my screen just went blank and my NOFO just went blank. Hold on one moment. I wanted to read it to you. So
Yeah, I know
civil,
the language is a little weird in the NOFO about civil legal assistance. It is how the statute reads, but absolutely you can provide direct legal representation and services.
Awesome. Thank you. And then the last question, since we can't do direct representation, can you define non-offending parents? There's a definition in page 7, but we just want further clarification.
So I think in that particular, so I think you have to read like bullet A and bullet B are completely separate. And bullet B is you can represent non-offending parents in matters, and that is when it plays into allegations of child sexual abuse. So those are very specific. That is a very specific, those 3, the 1, 2, and 3 underneath it all go together, right? So if you have cases that involve allegations of child sexual abuse that relate to family matters and the other parent is represented by counsel, in those other circumstances, besides just generally victims of domestic violence, you can represent those type of parents. So I think just reading those 2 is very separate, but then the 1, 2, and 3, all of those have to go together.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And I believe I answered your question about the Board of Judges. I do want to call, and there's been a few different questions about courts that I know Hannah and I have been answering. I do want to caution everyone for, really thinking about the court as the partner, because the court is going to be crucial in the projects you're proposing, in either referring clients to supervised visitation or providing court services directly. So be mindful of what your court structure looks like. And if a board of judges is a, group that is high above the court and not is, loosely associated with a specific court, come back to us in the JFF box and we can talk about everyone's court structures are different. So it may be a term that you're really familiar with in your state. We would probably need to know a little bit more of what in your state the Board of Judges looks like to say, like, that sounds like it's actually the court. But think about really why that partnership you're proposing and why you are considering it the court. I would probably reach out to us about, if it's not pretty straightforward, reach out to the JFF email box to really get some clear clarification, because it's kind of hard to discern with different structures. And we don't want to mislead you that that's an acceptable partnership without knowing more information.
Jody, you are unmuted. Can you go ahead and ask your question?
Yeah, so just a follow up for that on page 7, then with where it does say the civil legal advocacy or assistance. So are you saying under the matters it has to comply with all 3 of those, or because we're not typically supporting parents for child sexual abuse?
Then those legal services that you are proposing to provide wouldn't apply.
Right. So you're either direct providing legal assistance for one victim or victims of domestic violence.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then 2, if you are going to represent the non-offending parent in circumstances of child sexual abuse, it can only be in family matters, and the other party has to be represented. So those are 2 separate class of clients that you would potentially have.
So yes, if we're helping DV victims and we help with civil protection orders and custody divorce, and they also have to be represented by an attorney, the other party, or no?
No. So
okay.
2 separate. So like what you said first, like you're representing domestic violence victims in family court matters or civil matters.
Yeah.
Fine. That ends there.
Okay.
But if you are going to venture into representing non-offending parents in child sexual abuse cases, then those other qualifiers must exist.
Okay.
We understand the statute's confusing and the way it's written. So no question is too complicated on these ones. We understand the confusion of the way the statute's written.
Jody, do you have another question?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. And just as a reminder, we know that this NOFO looks different, but please remember to read the NOFO thoroughly and click on any and all links that are referenced in this NOFO. It brings you to the OVW. It brings you to the link that has the required certification for all of the statute purpose areas that you are applying under. So we just want to make sure everybody is getting the information under this grant. And Annabelle, you have another question? You should be unmuted.
Yes, ma'am. One last question. Technical support. This is the first time we're going to apply with OVW. We always apply with ACF. So what type of technical support are we going to receive?
Under this, under Justice for Families, you have access to the OVW technical assistance providers. Historically, OVW has a technical assistance provider focusing on supervised visitation, in which if you are a new program, again, we allow for up to 12 months for planning, training, technical assistance with that provider. All Justice for Families grantees, potential grantees, and former grantees have access to OVWTA providers. But we also have a comprehensive TA provider that can offer our JFF grantees technical assistance and training as it relates to the court training, the court programs, training under the JFF program.
Let me refine my question.
Please.
Yes, with ACF, with the Administration of Family and Children, we have assistance with OIT. If there's any problem with uploading, that's the technical support I'm looking for.
Oh, I'm sorry. For the application process?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, then you can reach out to the Just Grant support. There should be the final page of the NOFO has yep. For questions, if you have with Just Grants, there's an OVW Just Grants help desk email provided with you. If you have questions and need assistance with grants.gov, there's an email for you to contact for technical assistance with grants.gov. So that is on page 12 of the NOFO.
So for IT assistant will be grants.gov help desk?
I'm not sure which IT assistance, which system you're needing help with. There's two. There's, if you're in Just Grants, you can use the OVW Just Grants help desk.
Okay, thank you.
And again, that's on page 12 of the NOFO. We have our list of contacts if you have questions. Hannah or Julie, are there any frequently asked questions in the Q&A chat that should be read out loud or would be helpful to be read out loud?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of points that I've seen, there are several questions about the indirect cost rate. So if you do not have an indirect cost rate agreement with the federal government, with an agency, doesn't necessarily have to be with DOJ, then there is a 15% de minimis. And if you haven't applied for a federal grant in a while, that did raise from 10% last year. So you can apply and add into your budget a indirect cost rate up to 15% if you do not have a negotiated agreement with the federal government. You do not have to include an indirect cost rate, but that is your option. And we've seen that question come up a little bit. So just wanted to reiterate that. The other question, the other question we have seen is some questions that deal with the DOJ financial guide, such as the de minimis rate and also the cap on $650 a day for certain types of services provided under an award. I would really recommend folks to review the financial guide if it is a question relating to questions that deal with budget or finances. There's further explanations in there about what the caps are, and it is linked in the NOFO. And everything in the DOJ financial guide is applicable to any award that is funded through the Department of Justice. I was saying there is one question that just came up, and I'm sure Hannah will get to it, but I just wanted to reiterate, someone asked, is there a deadline to submit questions? Absolutely not. Keep questions coming through the email box. It is checked frequently, more than daily, hourly. So your questions will be responded to in a timely manner.
Catherine, you've been unmuted. Catherine Kornblum-Zell. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. You're on mute. You should be unmuted. Catherine, do you have a question?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Yay. On supervised visitation safe exchanges, we're not permitted to charge fees to the participants. On the BIP program, we can charge fees. There's not that restriction, correct?
Services provided under OVW federal funding should be made available for no charge.
Even to abusers on the batterers intervention program.
You can look at, oops, I'm going to find a link to a service. No, they should be at no charge. And if you can refer to, trying to find the link for our safety. Hold on 1 minute. I'm going to mute myself. Julie, can you answer this question while I look for a
Yes,
link real quick?
no problem. So I would ask you to think about, what are you asking the grant to pay for? And the reason we say really that, services provided under a grant should be at no cost is because what are you paying? What are you using the grant funds to pay for? So then it becomes a question of if you're collecting fees, does it become a safety issue? That's a question you can consider as well. And then if you're collecting fees and your costs of your program are covered by the grant, then is that program income? And so reading through the DOJ financial guide and understanding the implications of program income can help you also understand. And if for some reason you were going to charge fees or a small nominal amount, we also understand the kind of like if they, we've heard that, and we've had the discussion, if they don't pay, then what's their incentive to participate? But then we've also heard the other side is it's a barrier for them to participate, especially if it's court ordered. So I would really kind of look into that and ask yourself those questions. And if you do propose something with fees, I would really stress that that's something that may be negotiated out of your application if awarded with assistance from our technical assistance providers, because it really is the purpose of the grant is to pay for the cost to provide those services so they are accessible, and it does enhance the safety for the victims.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Over on the Spanish channel, Katie or Olga, are you there? Okay. I'm on the Spanish channel and I wasn't able to hear you all for the last about 10 minutes or so. But I can hear now. Yes, I can hear you now.
Annabelle, you have a question for us?
Sure. Julie, the funds are going to be used to build the program, but at the same time, we're going to use the funds to pay to the service providers. Do you have also cost extension after the 48 months?
OVW awards grantees, awarded grantees may at the end of a project period or as the end date of an award approaches, may request for a project period extension GAM.
Okay. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? I'm not seeing any hands raised at the minute for a question, but please feel free to keep them coming. You can drop off if you feel that your questions have been answered. If you do decide to drop off, and as you get back with your team or your project partners, and you have more questions as you prepare your proposal, please feel free to submit any questions after today to the email that's provided in the NOFO. And I think links have been provided throughout this Q&A session that brings you to the Justice for Families fact sheet page on the OVW website, which talks about eligibility. It can bring some information about our the OVW guidelines. Are there any other questions coming in on the Q&A chat that you need that we need to be read out loud, Hannah?
I'm typing out this last one.
Melissa, I'm going to unmute you for your question.
Okay, thank you. So I was trying to type it, but I thought it might be easier to ask. I was curious. So we are a nonprofit organization serving women. We provide a variety of services, including both DV direct services and as well as supervised visitation. And I was curious as far as for MOUs. I know we do need them from our court partners. But would we also, for example, if we have women referred from like another domestic violence provider, we have a lot of partners in the area. Should we also attach MOUs for those agencies that refer that are not court based, but that are working with clients and requesting supervised visitation services for their clients?
I want to make sure I'm answering this from what I heard. So you can submit, the required partnership is that of a victim service provider as defined in the NOFO and the court. If you have other agencies that are integral to the program providing services, then you would want to explore on your own if that partnership should be clearly defined in an MOU. If they are not integral to providing the services and not required as defined in the NOFO, then you would want to weigh that if the MOU is necessary, an integral part of your program.
Okay, yeah, I think it's just it would be more referrals based, like they would already have a court order and perhaps as an organization providing some advocacy and or legal services, and then they're looking for a visitation site. So that's kind of the scenario I was thinking about, and we want to make sure that that is allowable under this funding. If the referral doesn't come directly from the court, but comes from a partner that is working with a client that has a court order in place.
You can include them on an MOU if you,
okay,
as a
Thank
partner.
you. Thank you so much.
And I just wanted to add too, because like maybe I heard also that it should be one MOU, right? So if you're submitting an MOU, it's one MOU for the project. It's not previously signed MOUs of different, if you have an agreement with someone already and it's part of something else, that isn't really what the grant is asking for. It's asking for one MOU for this specific funding for this project. So please don't submit multiple MOUs that were signed and dated many, different years ago or whatnot. It should be really asking for what is integral to the project proposed.
Okay. Can I clarify about that then? I know I had asked it in the Q&A, but you said only one MOU, but if we work with several counties, wouldn't we need to submit the MOU for each county?
Is it when you're saying county, are you looking for the court to submit letters of commitment from each court?
Well, that was where I was kind of confused. We are on several lists for various counties in our area for supervised visitation providers, and the lists are provided by the courts to the women that are needing the supervised visitation, and then they call us. So I'm just trying to understand what this process is about the MOU with the courts and what we would need to have in place.
When we have had this in the past, the different courts that are going to participate in referrals would provide a letter of commitment. So you can have multiple letters of commitment from courts, right? But for any organization that's signing on to the MOU would be, again, one MOU. Even if it was lines for different courts and they're signing on, understanding what their role is, or if they're just going to submit a letter of commitment. So it would still be one MOU or letters of commitment from the courts only.
Okay. And the letters of commitment then just, saying that we are listed as a supervised visitation provider within their system, and
the details are in the NOFO, right? You can look in the NOFO.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Just to confirm, someone is unmuting themselves.
Oh, yes, a question. Sorry. Another question. This is Maggie again with Texas Rio Grande Legal Aid. On non-offending parents. I know you all described it, but here's an instance, I guess. It is not uncommon to have cases where there are accusations of violence on both sides both of our I guess the clients have been arrested, the parents. Could we still represent the parent on the grant if our client is not the primary aggressor?
Just muted myself. Sorry, if you're looking at the civil legal assistance.
Yes.
And you are providing services to the victim?
Yes.
Of domestic violence.
Hannah would like to jump in. The question's also in the chat. So I think he was already looking at that question.
I was not trying to jump in. I was just saying that it was going to be answered live. So you all go ahead.
Wait, I'm sorry. Hannah, did you say it's not in the chat? I'm sorry.
It is. I misread it. So she said OVW will answer the question live. So you can go ahead, Mo.
Okay. Let me read it in the chat to make sure I'm answering the right question. Then I apologize, everyone.
Maggie, I would like to clarify, I think so when you say, does the non-offending parents mean, so that's for cases involving allegations of child sexual
Right.
abuse. Only like that phrasing comes up there. But if it's a victim of domestic violence, you can represent them. I don't know if that clarifies, if that's kind of getting tripped up.
Would you be able to, I guess, repeat it so I can take a note of it?
Sure. So if a victim of domestic violence is requesting civil legal services, again, I know you stated that you would have potentially two dueling allegations, and I'm sure you have policies to kind of assess how you would handle that. But a victim of domestic violence can receive civil legal assistance, period. Also, a non-offending parent with allegations of child sexual abuse can be represented in family matters if the other parent is represented. So I know that gets a little confusing, but the whole non-offending parent piece is really related to really representing the child sexual abuse case, right? So that's a secondary victim, but there's issues that allows for in this statute. However, you can represent victims of domestic violence, period.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
Just as a reminder for anyone in the development of your project, if you are proposing to do civil legal assistance, please make sure you are referring to the certification chart for the civil legal assistance certification that is required. And actually, any applicant to JFF, I hope you're all looking at the certification chart to make sure you are submitting the certifications for the applicable part of your project. And those are all the template language is all on a link that is available in the NOVO. Amy, you have your hand raised. I'm going to unmute you. Actually, I'm going to ask you can you unmute yourself, Amy? I'm not able to.
I'm sorry. That's typically not a problem in my world.
That's okay.
Thank you so much. And just to further clarify your most recent statement about the required certifications for a supervised visit and safe exchange program, the certification of policies, that would just be signed by our organization, correct? As well as the letter certifying safety measures.
Correct.
And then the other required document is obviously the narrative, eh?
Correct.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. I'm sorry if that's been asked.
It's okay. No one else's hand is raised. So at the moment, just to remind you, there's a few deadlines to keep in mind for this NOFO. In grants.gov, we ask you to submit the SF424 and submit that in grants.gov by July 16th, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. And then the full application is due in Just Grants by July 21st, 2026 by 4:59 p.m. Again, that is Eastern Time. And those deadlines are all outlined and stated in the NOFO. We have about 10 more minutes if anyone else wants to raise their hand to ask your question verbally. But we also have Hannah is also responding to questions in the Q&A chat. Heather, I'm gonna unmute you so you can ask your question.
Thank you. I know I'm just so full of questions today. So as I mentioned that I work with 2 different counties, and this question was addressed in the chat box. I just have a little bit further of a question. So I work with 2 different counties. I have MOUs from both the courts. I have an MOU with the domestic violence organization that provides us our training, and we partner with very closely. The other domestic violence organization in the county, in one of the other counties I provide services for, we don't have as much of a acting relationship. I mean, we're because we get all of our training and everything we need from the other one, if that makes sense. So I'm trying to figure out an MOU situation for the one I don't have so much of a relationship with. Additionally, I think they're going through a director change. So if I were to apply and have the 2 courts and the one MOU with the one that we do our training and things like that with, would that be sufficient, or do I still need to come up with something for the other one if I can get, that signed with them going through a hiring transition? That's a lot.
So letters of commitment from a court, right, which can be submitted separately in 2 different letters of commitment. The MOU with another partner, but an MOU and an LOC of letter of commitment should match what is being proposed in your project narrative, in the proposal, and align with the activities. Okay. So if a signing authority changes during the life of a project, then that's something that could be communicated with a grant specialist for anyone awarded under the project. I'm not sure if I answered the question you were asking or answered it fully. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Yeah, like I said, we have a really strong relationship with the Domestic Violence Center in Susquehanna County, but not, we don't do our training or anything like that through the one in Bradford County, because we have, all our needs met through this one. And they are listed, in the grant, that they are providing training. And so I guess I'm just confirming whether or not I have to circle back to the other one that we don't really work with for training and that sort of thing, to come up with an MOU that matches, like, Bradford County Domestic Violence Center with Bradford County Court, and then Susquehanna County Domestic Violence Center with Susquehanna County Court, even though Susquehanna County provides the training across the board. I know it's confusing when I say it out loud.
Yeah, and if I'm not answering the question fully, you can always ask this in the email and we can also get back to you. But you can also refer to the OVW resource page for templates of MOUs so that the MOU should clearly outline the activities each partner is bringing to this one project.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. We have about 7 minutes left of this Q&A. I think a couple of people just joined. If you have questions, please feel free to raise your hand in Zoom and we can unmute you. Or you can drop a question in the Q&A chat or in the Q&A box in Zoom. Please don't use the chat. And if you leave here today and as you work with your team and your project partners on an application, if you have questions that come up as you're developing your proposal, you can always submit a question to the Justice for Families email box, which has been dropped in the chat. It's ovw.jff@usdoj.gov. The contact information is also provided in the JFF NOFO. Hannah, Julie, or Elena, are there any announcements you want to make that I've forgotten to say?
No, just, start early, get those partnerships in place, and don't wait till the last minute. And that there are 2 deadlines. Starting in grants.gov is essential to meet that deadline. It's very simple. It is just the SF424, so it's very easy to fill out. So as soon as you know, the most important piece of information that goes onto that piece submitted in grants.gov is your budget. So as soon as you kind of know the amount you anticipate requesting for, then you can go ahead and submit that grants.gov document. And that way you're already able to kind of get yourself set up in Just Grants, especially if you haven't done that before, and be able to really start working on the application, which might give you a better view of how things are set up and the requirements. So highly encourage really getting those grants.gov submissions in as soon as possible, knowing that it's a very simple, basic information form and doesn't have to include a lot of detail about your, it does not include a lot of detail about your actual application. Probably the most important part is it does ask for the amount you'll be requesting. So having an idea of, what the amount you're requesting, rounded to the whole dollar amount, would be important.
Thanks, Julie. All right, we have about 2 minutes left, so we're still here to answer your questions. I also just want to thank our interpreters who have joined us on the call. We hope that has been helpful for everyone. And Melissa, I'm going to unmute you for your question.
Thank you. Yeah, I did put my mine was in the chat and there was a response, but I was just seeking, I put in I guess it came in through as a comment, I'm not sure. But I'm still a bit confused about the fact that we are a DV services provider. For example, we provide counseling, case management, and emergency and transitional housing for victims of domestic violence and their children. And that's one of our core services. We have a demonstrated history of that. And then last year, we also added supervised visitation services, as there's a great need for that in our area. So I'm still trying to get clarity on whether I will need to have an LOC or an MOU, one or the other, with another direct services provider for domestic violence, because normally they're sending the clients to us and we're the direct services provider. So I'm trying to, understand what I'm going to need to do for this. I know it's probably a little bit of a unique situation.
So look at the eligibility, the definitions of the eligible partners, right?
Okay.
And what do you feel, what does your organization mean under the definitions under the statute?
Okay.
And if you meet the victim service, the DV, the victim service provider as a lead applicant, then you need to partner with a court, right? That's the required partnership. If you don't meet the definition of a victim service provider as a lead applicant, then you would need to explore finding a partner who meets that definition.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And if you continue to question or have questions about it, you can email us, Melissa.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. All right, everyone, we have reached our time. So I just want to thank you on behalf of OVW and the JFF team. Thank you for your questions. Please keep them coming to our email box. If you continue to have questions and need answers or guidance, we will do our best to respond to all of your questions in our email box. And that would be the end of our meeting. So good luck with your application process. Thank you for your time.